So thanks everyone, and for being here, and we're really excited to kick off this project. Unfortunately, this is not the circumstances we would love to do this in. Typically it's always fun to be around a big table, have dinner, and no distractions from other avenues of life. But we're making the best of it, and so we really appreciate you all being here. And hopefully by the end of this planning process, we can have those types of gatherings again. But I am Brian Poole. I'm I'm in our area and project planning team for PBOT. And I've been with the Bureau for about 2.5 years now. Been working on projects all across the city. Columbia Lombard plan is one that we're just finishing up. I'm doing a number of corridor plans in East Portland, but I'm super excited about being a part of this project and learning from all of you, and just being able to see this area grow in the way that you envision it, and that you really want to see development and planning and transportation systems develop to improve the area. So yeah, just super excited to be here, and thanks for sort of letting us into your space to work through these issues with you.
So now that Brian and I have had a chance to introduce ourselves, we wanted to introduce the team. Not everyone can be here tonight, but I think we do have a few of our staff members with us. So this is a project that is going to be, it's co-sponsored by 2 bureaus. So the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. And in that bureau, along with myself, I have colleagues, Bill Cunningham, Eric Engstrom, who's my supervisor, and then Andrea Pastor. And then in the Portland Bureau of Transportation, or PBOT, we have Brian, we have Maurice Leclerc, who is the supervisor for PBOT, Zephyr Wagner, Karin, Montana, and Shane Valley. And then also with us tonight is our Oregon Department of Transportation, or ODOT staff person, who is Hector Rodriguez Ruiz, who is he is managing or administering the grant for this particular project. So this is your project team, and so you'll see all of us in different meetings, and then hopefully as we transition through this project, at some point we hope to get together in person as well. I will say that Brian and I are, I would say, for the most part, kind of the liaisons to this group. And so I'm taking kind of the lead here, whereas Brian is taking the lead on the technical advisory committee. But both of us are available for emails and questions and phone calls. We now want to take an opportunity to have each of you introduce yourself. Brian is going to be helping me out with this because I'm sharing my screen. I can't see all of you. And so Brian is going to be calling on each of you to introduce yourself. And we have about 20 minutes for this. And so we're wanting to really hear and learn who you are. And so if you could please, when you get called, share your name, your preferred pronoun if comfortable, what is your relationship to the project area, and what motivated you to participate in this committee. So that's what we're hoping to hear tonight.
Yeah, and just a few other housekeeping things. I'm going to be, we'd prefer if you could mute yourself unless you're talking. So if we hear background noise, I might just go ahead and mute you for you. So just be aware of that. And then I'll just go through the list and call on people. And we do want to hear from you. We've got 25 people though on the call right now. So if you could, just share, in a minute or so, answer these questions, that would help move things along. And if you're here and you're not part of the committee, you can still introduce yourself. Just sort of acknowledge that and say why you're interested in learning about the Lower Southeast Rising Area Plan and your relationship to the area. So I'm going to go through the list of participants. And so on my list right now, Kathy is up first. So Kathy, if you don't mind sharing, that would be great.
Okay, am I off mute?
You are.
Okay. My preferred pronoun is she, I guess. And I've lived in this area for about 27 years. So mostly I was motivated to work on the project to hopefully help guide its development, and also just because I'm curious about what's on the table and what's possible. I've worked for many years as a reporter and editor, and currently I'm mostly retired, but I do some freelance writing and photography. And I have a Pomeranian, which you'll probably meet or hear barking at some point. You may have to mute me. So that's about it.
Great, thank you. And Marty, do you mind stop sharing your screen? Actually, it might be better to see people as they share. Thanks.
I don't want to see myself.
Yeah, we'll move on. So Anna, you're up next.
Did you say me?
Yes. Yeah.
Me? Okay, so my name is Anna Weixer. I moved to Portland 3.5 years ago and moved right on the border of Woodstock and Brentwood Darlington. And like 2 years ago, I got involved in neighborhood development projects and learned about neighborhood associations. And since then, I became part of the Woodstock Neighborhood Association, and now I'm the chair. I'm also an architect. I teach architecture and urban theory at PSU. And I grew up in East Germany, and I was just starting my practice in Berlin when we had to deal with a lot of policy changes, bringing East and West together, which involved a lot of social differences, a lot of legal and technical differences. So I'm very excited to see how I can contribute this knowledge to this particular group. And what really interests me is to have some informative feedback loops that mediate between, the residents, the planning staff, and all those things. So yeah, I hope I'm very excited about this.
Great, thank you. I'm going to save the introductions of the other project team members to the end. Next up, we have Aaron Klein.
Hey everyone, Aaron Klein, him, lived in the neighborhood for a little more than a year after moving from Northeast Portland, and fell in love with the neighborhood, fell in love with the community, and fell in deep worry when I think of my friends' kids walking up and down 78th Avenue and cars speeding by. And I'm a cyclist and transit user and occasional driver, and worry about, just street safety for non-4-wheel transporting folks. It's in the 1 year I've lived here, I've met more people, known more people, seen more amazing things happening than I saw in the 7 or 8 years I lived in Northeast Portland. But I've felt, like I said, that risk in seeing the danger in a strange, in a strange way that is totally preventable. There are like so many things we can and could have been doing. And so I'm just excited to be part of a group of people who are invested in the community, invested in the neighborhood, and I want it to be a thriving, beautiful place to live.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Ben Waterhouse.
Hello, I'm Ben Waterhouse. I use he, him pronouns. I've lived in Mount Scott, Arleta for over 12 years now. and seeing a lot of change in the neighborhood, both good in terms of accessibility and not so great in terms of increased traffic and a lot of deaths on our streets. So I'm hoping to be a part of making this a better, more accessible place for everyone to live.
Great, thank you. Looks like next up is Brian Cho.
Hi there, Brian. I use he, him pronouns. I've been a homeowner in the Lentz neighborhood for about a year and a half. I've never been a part of a process like this. I'm a native Portlander and really was kind of curious how this is constructed. And I think it's important to have a diverse range of backgrounds and experiences. So really excited to see how this goes.
Great, thank you. Next is Caroline Fry.
Hey, I'm Carol Ann. Thanks for saying my name right. Most people do not, so you get kudos for that. I'm here because I work in land use. I work for the City of Fairview in the planning department. And I just last year bought my first home on 80th and Woodstock. So I'm in the neighborhood. I'm a graduate from PSU, also a native Portlander. This project is really close to my heart because on April 14th, my boyfriend was actually killed in a traffic accident in Portland streets. So the safety of our streets and our pedestrians and all that is like really close and dear to my heart. We've had a lot of road fatalities in the last year. I think last year was record fatalities, and to be a victim of that, you know, is like definitely changes the statistics, you know, when you get to know the people and the families that are implicated in those really tragic, you know, accidents. So yeah, I'm just hoping that I can contribute since I deal with land use stuff in my day job. So I'm hoping that I can bring like a good perspective in being a homeowner also. And I will say I benefited from a lot of things that people hate because I live on a lot that was split. And my new house was built on a split lot. So I know I'm like contributing to the parking problem, to the traffic problem, but I really do feel that infill is the best way that we can, you know, combat some of our housing problems. So I'm going to be definitely pro that when people are complaining about new people moving to the neighborhood. So just be warned. But anyway, I'm just so happy to be here. And thank you so much for all of your guys' time tonight.
Great, thank you. And very, very sorry for your loss. And thanks for being open to share that. I really appreciate it. Next up is Eleanor Manning.
Hi, everyone. So I live in Mount Scott Arletta. I've been, or she, her. I have been involved in transportation and housing issues on like a national scale with work in kind of policy work, but I'm super interested to kind of see the neighborhood stakeholder engagement side. I just think this is an awesome area of Portland that is underappreciated and ready to, you know, grow dynamically and still, you know, has like a lot of diverse voices. And I'm really excited to be a part of this process.
Great, thank you. We're excited to have you. So next up, looks like is Jed Hafner. Jed?
Hi, I'm Jed Hafner. I live just across the boundary in Foster Powell and really enjoy living here. I'm also a board member of Oregon Walks nonprofit and a member of their Plans and Projects Committee, which is partially why I was interested in this, because I spend all of my time mostly in the plan area. And yeah, would like to see the streets very safe for everybody to use.
Great, thank you. And thanks for correcting me. If I do say your name wrong, please let me know so that we can, you know, be corrected for the future. Looks like next up is Julie Garner. Julie.
Yeah, so I'm Julie, she, her pronouns. I am a homeowner in Lens, been here for 3.5 years. And actually, I've lived in Portland my whole life, but this is my first house. So I love Southeast and I'm a cyclist. I do drive sometimes, but I really like riding my bike, but it's really scary in this part of town. I do it anyway, but I don't really feel safe until I'm below 52nd. So I would like to see safety for streets, make them more pedestrian and bike friendly and kid friendly. I'd also like to see more places to walk to for business. And I mean, there's so much potential. Yeah, and also I would really, I don't know if this project will cover it, but I would love to see transit improve too. It totally sucks. I've actually looked into it, but it's like it would take 3 to 4 times as long to go anywhere. So I don't ever use it. But if it was, I mean, I would like that to be an option because I'm trying to drive as little as possible. But yeah, I love being a part of this neighborhood, and I like being a part of change and planning. And I've been with Bike Loud for about 6 months now, so I've been doing some stuff with them, and so they're all really excited that I'm a part of this, and I'm going to be reporting to them too because they want to know what's going on. So, but yeah, I'm really excited that so many people are on board and want safer streets, and you know, sometimes you feel like you're the only one. So it's nice to have a big group all saying that. So anyway, glad to be here.
Great, thank you. And transit is part of this project. So yeah, we'll be looking at that for sure. Thanks. And next up is Melanie Lambert. Hi, Melanie.
Hello. This is my Chihuahua, Taquita. I've been in Southeast Portland for about, I don't know, 7 years this time. I did live here earlier in 95, 96 and on Southeast 77th. And my youngest daughter was born there and she's 24. So it's been a while. I am a nurse care coordinator for Care Oregon. And so a lot of the issues that were brought up in the pamphlet that I saw about being on this committee were something that we actually deal with every day for people, housing, social determinants of health, anything like that. So I feel like, and I live in Southeast Portland in the Brentwood, Darlington, and I also work here, work from home. And so I figure with all that, I mean, I really want to make this a better place and including everyone here, you know, not just, you know, certain substrates, but make it something, a place that everybody can be proud to live in and very safe too. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Melanie. Next on our list is Michael Kennedy. Michael?
Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Kennedy. My pronouns are he, him. I work for DEQ, which is why it's in my name there. This is my work computer, so it shows up. I'm a water quality scientist for the state, and a lot of projects in Portland come across my desk for approval as well. So I am usually involved on the periphery, even though I have a whole lot of interest in land use and planning. My partner and I moved to Portland in 2013, and a few years ago bought our first home, a first in my family for home ownership, on Woodstock in Mount Scott Arletta. And then they did the improvements on Foster, which reduced the traffic and made Foster really, really nice, but has made Woodstock a nightmare. The traffic that goes by, I've seen wrecks, cars upside down, people almost ran over, dogs almost ran over. It's a nightmare, and the noise. So when I saw this project come available, I was immediately interested because you feel completely helpless to do anything about it in a city this big that doesn't have proper representation due to our form of government. So I felt this was a great way to try to not only change Woodstock, but also the neighborhood and help it move forward for the next 100 years with proper land use planning. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Nancy, do you want to go next?
Good evening, everybody. Nancy Chapin, she, her, hers, and I've lived in well, I was born here, but I've actually lived in Brentwood, Darlington for the last 33 years. And I'm primarily involved with business district associations, Woodstock. I actually am the president of 82nd Avenue Roses Business Association. And so I'm just very interested in this area and in how we can make it safer and better to live in.
Great, thank you. Next we have Nick Savi. Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick Sovey. I use he, him pronouns. And so I live in Woodstock and have been a lifelong Southeast Portland resident. And with my day job, I'm with Rose Community Development, which builds and operates affordable housing and does other kinds of community development in outer Southeast Portland. And I'm involved in this because I've been here long enough to see the results of both good and bad planning. And, it's really important that the decisions we make now affect what the neighborhood's going to be like 20 years from now or 50 years from now. So yeah, I'm happy to be here with the group. And yeah, just make a plug too, if folks are interested in affordable housing, definitely reach out to me. And we're always looking for volunteers for committees and our board, and would love to talk to folks about that.
Thanks, Nick. Next up, it's my list. Pam.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. So I was born and raised in Brentwood, Darlington, so I feel deeply invested in this process. I'm on the very southern border of Brentwood, Darlington, I believe the southern border of this study also. So Clackamas County is across the street from us on Harney Drive. We're at about 58th and just up the hill from Precision Cast Parts. So I came back to the neighborhood about 10 years ago to care for elderly parents and became involved in the Brentwood Darlington Neighborhood Association and the Southeast Coalition of Southeast Uplift, and was active in the redevelopment of Errol Heights Park and worked with the Oregon Health Authority on the environmental health assessment of Precision Cast Parts. And I am, I guess, most interested in how we can create a 20-minute neighborhood in Brentwood, Darlington, in the study area, because all of my life here, I have to go somewhere else for just about everything, and we have no sidewalks, and public transit is not convenient. And I think climate change, the best strategy is to do everything hyper locally. So I'm really interested in this study and have been following Marty's work in the area since she helped lead the graduate students study a few years ago, and just hopeful that this is our neighborhood's time, finally.
Awesome, thanks for sharing. Next up is Ryan. Ryan, you wanna go?
Hey everybody, Ryan Ernst, live in Brentwood, Darlington for the last 4 years or so, and then lived off of Division for a couple of years. So Southeast is where I find myself a lot, obviously. Ride my bike a lot, got a car that I use from time to time. Kind of like Pam, the 20-minute neighborhood thing is something that I think I would appreciate. I find myself going to Clackamas County to do a lot of my grocery shopping, daycare, things like that. And what I'm interested about is how the planning comes to be. I've sat in and listened to other planning situations, not planning situations, but like PBOT, what is it? open houses and projects and things like that. And sometimes I end up scratching my head from what people are saying and what the project managers are saying. So I'm very interested in how that kind of plays out in this situation. So thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Tim Williams.
Hi, I'm Tim. I use he, him. My wife and I moved to Mount Scott, Arleta, about 4 years ago, and I just realized I've probably been pronouncing it wrong the whole time we've lived here. But we live a couple blocks from the community center. We really love it here. We moved when we were expecting our second kid. We now have 3 kids. And so this is just an area that we plan to stay in for a very long time. And I've always kind of wanted to be involved a little more with the community. So given my work schedule, we have a small business we own up in the Cully neighborhood. And my timing, it was the right time for me to try to volunteer some time. And a project that is focused on the Southeast neighborhood, especially where we live, seemed like a really good opportunity. So I'm just kind of excited and looking forward to that.
Great, thanks, Tim. Next, we have, hopefully I said this right, Valeria McWilliams.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Valeria McWilliams. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I live in the Lens neighborhood. My background, I'm a city planner. My day job, I work at Metro and I help implement the affordable housing and supportive services bond programs. I'm also part of the Planning and Sustainability Commission here at the City of Portland. So this aligns very well with the current work that the commission already does. I have also worked in economic development for a little bit and just have overall interest in transportation. And I just have some concerns about safety and revitalization, especially on 82nd Avenue. I think I see probably one crash per week along 82nd, and it does not feel safe. You know, to drive along that corridor. I'm also thinking about a little bit on gentrification of the neighborhood. It feels like some of these neighborhoods are some of the less standing, quote, affordable areas of Portland. And so there's some concern around that. And yeah, overall, just the differences that this study area has with the rest of Southeast. And, you know, given that there is a lot of communities of color living in this area, I'm just really excited that this is being prioritized by the city to work on. So thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. And then we have Vivian Schwang. Vivian?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Vivian, she, her pronouns. I've lived in Woodstock for about 4 years, homeowner for about 3 years, and in Oregon for about 12 years. I work for a private landscape architecture consulting firm. So I design parks and public spaces and streetscapes, my day job. So this lines well with that. And I usually don't get to work on projects so close to home. So I'm just really excited to be part of the committee and to help continue and work on livability issues in the neighborhood.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that's everyone, unless somebody came in late. And let me know if you did, or just interject. But otherwise, I'm gonna just go ahead and let the project staff introduce themselves really quickly as well. So we have a number of the team from either BPS or PBOT here as well, and want to give them a chance just so you know their faces and they can say hi. So I'll go down the list in a similar fashion. So first up, we have Andrea Pastor.
Hi, everybody. I am Andrea Pastor. I use she, her pronouns. I work at BPS as an economic planner. And so I'll be looking at a lot of the opportunities for maybe some new commercial nodes. And also I work on the anti-displacement action plan. So I'm very concerned about the housing displacement issues. I also live in the project area. I've lived in Woodstock for 16 years. And so it's really nice to be working on this project close to home. And I was also part of the graduate student team that worked on the Brentwood Darlington plan. So I'm pretty familiar with this. And if you have any questions and you participated in the last project, I would love to, hear from you again. But thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Karin, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Karin Montana. I use she, her pronouns, and I am on the PBOT side. I am supporting Marty and Brian with public involvement. And other big part of my work, I work on the Safe Routes to School team at PBOT. So hopefully that connection will come into play and I can play a supportive role there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just very thankful to hear about each of you. What an honor to hear your stories and your connections to the neighborhood. So thank you for being here.
Great, thanks. And Hector, can you go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Hector Rodriguez. I'm a senior planner with ODOT. My role with this project, I've been with this project since it was like a proposal, which I'm really excited to see becoming a reality now. We have a really good team with the city. I'm just here to like follow that everything that we are receiving is actually doable with the state and the city, and that way ensure that the plan becomes something feasible. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mauricio.
Hello, Maurice Leclerc. I'm a transportation planner with the city of PBOT for about 20 years. I've worked many projects. I live in Southeast, pronouns he, his. I'm very excited to be here. I agree with Hector, you have a great team, and in 20 years, close to 20 years, I've seen a lot of changes, but one thing that remains constant is the civic pride of Portlanders, and I'm so happy to have such a great committee. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Shane, do you want to go next?
Hello, all. My name is Shane Valley. I'm with the Bureau of Transportation. On this project, I'm supporting Brian Poole a lot with some transportation-related analysis. You'll probably hear more from me during our next meeting when we dig into sort of existing conditions transportation-wise. As for connections to the project area, I live in North Portland, but I have quite a few friends in that area, and I volunteer regularly at a farm down near the Brentwood Darlington City Park.
Okay, thanks. And last, because his name starts with a Z, but not least, we have Zephyr Wagner. Zeph.
Yeah, and my last name starts with a W, so I'm always last. I'm Zephyr Wagner, he, him. I'm a transportation planner at PBOT on the same team as Brian and Shane, and I'll be mainly working on sort of analysis, looking at the walking and biking and transit networks, trying to do some problem solving based on our analysis and the feedback we get from you all and the rest of the public on what's needed in this area. And I also helped Marty with the grant application to get this project going. So I have several years of being excited about this project, and really happy to see this great group gathered. I live up in Overlook, but so it is quite a distance, but I love the neighborhood. I try to get down there on the spring water and then bike around once in a while, and enjoying seeing how it's developing and how things have changed on Foster, and hoping to spread those improvements to the rest of the neighborhood.
Awesome, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Marty. But if there's any questions that you all have as Marty's going through the next sort of phase of the meeting, feel free to just use the chat, and I'll let her know if anyone has questions or comments that they want to raise. And then we can unmute you, and you can share this. So Marty, you want to go ahead?
Got to unmute myself. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Oh. Oh boy, I think I just, let's see. It's always fun when you close out of your PowerPoint presentation during a meeting. So hold on a second. We've got a lot of files on this project. We're taking it pretty seriously. Let's see.
You're all giving me the chance to hear my nephew practicing my name over FaceTime. We're going to visit tomorrow, and he's 2 years old, and so if you see the smiles, that's just practice.
That is lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
Just wondering, it was mentioned that this this study was funded through a grant. Is that where is that grant from, or is that being split between PBOT, ODOT, and City of Portland? And sorry, maybe you'll cover this, so we can wait too.
Yeah, I will cover it for sure. But let's see. Here we go. This is what I meant to do. Okay.
I can pull it up, Marty, too, if you need me to. It's just,
oh,
you know.
Thanks. This is the one thing about working from home is everything is just a little slower. Okay. So I think I can go back and share my screen now. Okay, I think we made it. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so really quickly, after we wrapped up our introductions, I will say really quickly that one thing that we will be doing in all of the committee meetings is we will be pausing for public comment. We don't have any kind of general members of the public with us tonight, but I just want to kind of get into the practice that you know, we will take up about 5 minutes or so in these meetings if the general public is with us and they want to share something. So just wanted to note that. Okay, we're going to transition into kind of why we're here. So and provide some background information. So what we're going to cover is project background. So kind of get into how you know, what is funding this project and, you know, why we initiated this project, talk about the project goals, as well as the timeline. We are going to cover on a very high level the committee charter, charge, and bylaws, as well as the committee roadmap, which is kind of giving you a sense of what your commitment is and when the meetings will be this next year. So we'll walk through that as well. Okay, well, what has been mentioned a couple of times tonight is back in 2016, I don't even know if Zephyr Wagner reached out to me or how this all came about, but there was this conversation about whether or not to submit a proposal to the Portland State University's Masters in Urban and Regional Planning program to consider doing a project specifically in the Brentwood-Darlington area. And we were really blessed that our pitch worked, and we had a PSU MERP graduate team pick this project. And so you can see that they had a project, Brentwood-Darlington Say Our Name. which was a neighborhood assessment and action plan. And it was a really well done effort. I think from city staff perspective, we were very thrilled with the product and the process. And it really got, I think, the community members that participated in it really excited. And we were excited too. And so typically what city staff do with efforts like this is we're doing a lot of internal advocacy and we're trying to pitch projects, formal city projects. And one of the ways that we do that is that we go after grants. And so I took this project and I went after what's called a Metro Planning and Development Grant and was unsuccessful. And so that was kind of a bummer. And that was in the, I guess, 2018 timeframe. And then I can't remember, again, Zeph has been kind of this internal champion, but why not submit a transportation growth management grant, which is through the Oregon Department of Transportation, as well as the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development, but managed by ODOT. And so we applied for that grant. And this time we were a little bit more organized and we had community stakeholders supporting us. And we had, I think, 17 or 18, I can't even remember, letters of support from various neighborhood organizations, community organizations, the Portland Mercado, PTA organizations, schools, Green Thumb. So it was a really well-organized effort to apply for this grant, and we were awarded it, and it was very, very exciting to receive that award, and very much felt the support from the community.
Yeah, if I can add, Marty,
yeah,
a lot of this was building off of the energy from the Metro Regional Flexible Funds grant for the sidewalk infill on Flavel and Duke, which should be happening soon in the next couple of years, and the Napa Ogden Neighborhood Greenway. That really got the neighborhood really fired up with a lot of letters of support and postcards from kids at school. So I think that really helped us get this grant, was the recognition that that was a really big win for the neighborhood, but it's not enough and a lot more is needed. Plus we wanted to look at land use, which this transportation growth management is a perfect type of grant to look at both land use and transportation together. Marty, I'm just seeing the first slide and I'm seeing your whole screen.
Are you seeing the introduction to the lower southeast? Are you seeing that?
I'm just seeing the title slide. Yeah, we're not really seeing the presentation, the middle of the presentation, yeah.
I'm not sure how to address that because let me see. Thank you for letting me know.
We go into slideshow mode.
I will try it again. Let's see.
Possible that you're sharing only the window in the browser and not sharing the whole screen.
It's possible. Let's see. Can you see that?
That worked. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Go to the bottom right, that button just to the left of the zoom in and out. That little guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'll make it full screen. Yeah.
Wonderful. And can I just say right there, this is going to have to be a team effort and facilitation. So I appreciate that so much. Okay, so shall we, Zeph, are you ready to shift gears to just the focus area?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so again, the Brentwood Darlington project that we were referring to with PSU was just focused on the Brentwood Darlington Neighborhood Association area. I will say, kind of stepping back a little bit, when we were working on this particular PSU project, my previous role with the city was I was the Southeast District Planner. And I had been serving as the Southeast District Planner for right around 5 years at this point. And it was very clear, I think, just in my learning of this area from a land use point of view, but also from a people and communities point of view, that there is a much larger area that is very much interconnected. And when we were thinking about specifically the grant, also from a transportation network point of view, it made sense to go out larger, just because of the interconnectedness of where people want to go and how the transportation system works. And so you'll see the project area, which is Cesar y Chavez to the west, Holgate and Foster Road to the north, 92nd to the east, and then kind of following the Springwater corridor a bit, and then southeast Clatsop, really to the city limits to the south. And so this is the broader area. And so again, we appreciate the well representation of the folks that are on this committee that also make up the broader project area. So this is really, really high level why the city is initiating this project, and specifically why Bureau of Planning and Sustainability and why PBOT are initiating this project together. On the left-hand side, you can see a map, and this map is actually a zoomed in version of what we call our centers and corridors map. This essentially is our growth management map. It is also where we prioritize city investments. You'll see on this map that we have the Woodstock neighborhood center, which is kind of there in the 40s to the 50s. We had the Lentz Town Center, and then we have the Heart of Foster. Lentz Town Center, or in Heart of Foster, is a neighborhood center. The lines on the map are our corridors, and so we have Woodstock is a neighborhood corridor, 82nd Avenue is a civic corridor, and then Foster Road is a civic corridor. So those are kind of the main corridors in this area. And then you'll notice a big question mark. And, this is really the geography that is kind of lacking a place that is recognized by the city for growth and investment. And it is definitely not a 20-minute neighborhood. So that's, or a designated 20-minute neighborhood, as mentioned earlier. So this is an area for further exploration, and that's why we're doing the project from a land use side. I'm going to let Zeph or Brian or Shane or Karin talk about this next map on PBOT. I feel like I won't do it justice.
You're talking about the map on the right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a little hard to read here, but basically those sort of red lines alongside most streets are sidewalks. And so what a big thing that this map shows is that the Brentwood-Darlington area, sort of south of Duke, between 45th and 82nd, is really under sidewalked. It has some of the least sidewalk coverage in the city, other than a little bit there down at Clatsop. But yeah, most of the streets don't have sidewalks. A lot of patchy partial sidewalks. A lot of streets have none. There's a lot of unpaved streets, which are kind of shown on sort of dashed lines. And then we're also showing the bus lines, which it might look like fairly good coverage, but as somebody noted earlier, the bus lines sort of zigzag through the neighborhood, don't go very directly to where most people want to go. A lot of the bus stops aren't very high quality, and the bus lines aren't very frequent or run all day. So this is just kind of a snapshot of the transportation situation.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is a lot of text, not a very graphically interesting slide, but this is text that is pulled out from the Transportation Growth Management grant, as well as our scope of work. So the project goals, this is what we are going into the project with some sense of kind of what we're wanting to learn more about and to get recommendations from the community on. The goal of this plan is to develop strategies to increase livability and housing stability. So that's kind of high level, as well as improve access to employment. And when we say access, it is both transportation access, but it's also the location of employment, schools, local services and amenities, and recreation opportunities. And then specifically this project will explore new neighborhood commercial and/or housing opportunities, as well as ways to prevent displacement. And again, when we're talking about displacement, we're talking about housing displacement, we're talking about business displacement or small business displacement, as well as kind of community or cultural, places of identity. So that's kind of the fuller context around displacement. We're also looking to really link, and this is more of kind of the connections, affordable housing, economic development, and business stabilization opportunities. And what we mean by linking is by having a project like this that is a city-sponsored effort, you're really raising the awareness of this area. We do have a technical advisory committee that is also running a parallel process for this project. And we have folks that represent and can bring the expertise around economic development and business stabilization. We're really lucky to have Nick Savi serve on the project advisory committee and just really bring in the expertise around affordable housing. And so we're really wanting to make those connections for this geography. Not that they aren't already there, but really just enhance them. And then finally, but not least for sure, is this desire to enhance access to transit and just improve the pedestrian and bicycle network connectivity in the geography. And I will say that there's a little bit of a chicken and the egg conversation. Zeph, I hope you don't mind that I'm outing you on this, but I have always felt like there's more of a transportation need, and I'm a land use planner. And Zeph has felt like there's more of a land use need, and he's a transportation planner. And so we feel like both are equally very, very much important to this geography. But yeah, that's just maybe some inside humor there.
Hey, Marty, can I ask you a clarifying question real quick?
Yeah, please.
This says the project will enhance access to traffic, but you had said the project will desire to enhance access to traffic. So is there a difference there? Or yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm going to let my PBOT colleagues jump in here. We absolutely are going to have a transit analysis that is conducted for this geography. And transit is so important as far as its relationship to land use. And so that's why it's so critical that we have both of our bureaus at the table. I don't know if we want to talk about the transit analysis just very briefly, but it's a really important question.
Well, I guess I would say maybe this needs a qualifier because, you know, this is a plan. So this plan won't directly do these things. We would have to seek funding and, you know, get resources together to do projects that enhance access to transit and improve pedestrian and bicycle network. We don't have a funding source for capital improvements attached to this project, but what we found is by doing a plan for an area and really prioritizing these investments, it really helps the money flow. It raises the profile for funding opportunities. It makes it clear what the priorities are. So it's not just an overwhelming list of projects, but a sort of a ranked list of projects. So this is sort of a prerequisite to finding the funding to be able to do these improvements. And then also, as far as transit service, like the routes and the frequency and the span of transit service, that's all up to TriMet, which is another government agency. They are a partner with us, but they're not directly working on this plan. They'll be part of our technical advisory committee, and they'll be helping us with the transit analysis. But ultimately, as the city of Portland, we can't guarantee that they'll make those changes. What we want to do is show the need for changes and recommend changes, but it's ultimately up to TriMet, the TriMet board, and there may need to be neighborhood advocacy, you know, to them because it's not our call. We don't directly operate the transit system in Portland.
Thanks, Steph. I'm going to go to the next slide, but I do welcome questions. It makes the just the information we're sharing tonight much richer. So this is a project timeline. Note, you know, it's always subject to change, but you know, roughly, you know, this is about I would say a year plus project as far as the development of the plan. So where we are right now is, you know, we've been really busy behind the scenes trying to do just getting the project up and running, you know, getting the technical advisory committee going, doing you know, a public recruitment for the project advisory committee, and then just doing a lot of kind of data pulling of the existing conditions. So that's kind of where we are right now. We are going to be this summer, you know, shifting to kind of a more public-facing part of the project. We, you know, will be coming out with a public involvement plan. We have existing conditions, body of work that we will be making available to the public. And then we have a lot of public engagement that we're planning this summer. In the fall, we shift to looking at kind of what we call an alternatives analysis, or shifting to what are the possible solutions. And so we'll have you know, a lot of conversations here at the committee about that. It's also, that would be a good opportunity for us to do open houses. Hopefully they won't be online. They may have to be, but we, as soon as we can safely get out and engage with the public, we want to do so. And then we also have a desire to do some focus group with communities that aren't necessarily likely to engage in an open house or a survey, for example. And so we're going to do some focused outreach. And then in, I would say, kind of the winter, spring, we kind of shift to, you know, what is the implementation strategy? So how can we, you know, really make it happen? So what are the land use recommendations? What are the transportation recommendations? Are there recommendations that are in the community development, business stabilization, anti-displacement realm? And so that's kind of where we have those conversations. And then in, I would say kind of the spring, summer, more likely summer timeframe of next year, we'll be coming out with the first public draft of the plan kind of all pulled together. And then later in 2022, we actually shift into, and I apologize, that's my dog. We shift into what's called the legislative process, which is where we have public hearings before the Planning and Sustainability Commission. And like Valeria had shared in her introduction, she is a member of the Planning and Sustainability Commission. So we're really lucky to have a commissioner that's serving on our committee through the life of the project, and then can almost be this committee's liaison to a decision-making body. And then the final step would be public hearings before City Council. So City Council is the ultimate decision-making body of a legislative project. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions on the timeline? Okay, I'm going to shift now to just talking about, again, this is a kickoff meeting, and so we do need to talk about just the formality of what it means to serve on a committee. So really at a high level, this committee is charged with kind of this question of, can we as a committee, as a group, partnered with staff, identify ways to address the livability and stability and access in the lower Southeast Rising area? So like that's the high level question. As far as kind of the main roles of the committee, we will, you are our consultants, our advisors, and there will be kind of the shared learning and journey that we will enjoy together. And we are really looking to you for advisement. Specifically, you know, we will need assistance with the development of the public involvement plan. You know, just in general, providing input and real life experience to staff about the project area, reviewing plans on land use and transportation alternatives, as well as providing feedback on the implementing strategies that include the affordable housing, economic development, housing and business stabilization. So that's kind of the role that we're seeking from you all. We do have a working agreement. So hold on, I just moved my Zoom icon, so I'm gonna go back. So this is the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability's shared ground rules, and we do use these both internally with our own team in group conversations, and we also use them externally as well. And so I just want to take a moment to read them. So the shared ground rules are: listen to understand, not to respond; wait, which stands for why am I talking? Or if you are an introvert in the group, why am I not talking? So just adding that. Assume good intentions, but attend to impact. Be willing to make mistakes and be forgiving of those who do. Allow for and appreciate disagreement of opinions, ideas, methods respectfully. Personal stories stay and lessons can be shared. And then there may be one or two shared ground rules that this committee comes up with. And so, you know, this committee will develop its own culture, and we look forward to seeing what that is. But again, there may be a ground rule that is needed for this group. And I hope humor is a part of that. So. Some other committee responsibilities are that we are leading with equity. So specifically, the City of Portland just acknowledges that we've had a significant role in leading to kind of, I would say, inequitable service of our community and communities. I think, not only from a racial and ethnic context, which is very important, and I'm really glad that we had some committee members that brought up those concerns earlier in their sharing, but also in how we provide services. And so this geography is got a lot of trust issues with the city, and we acknowledge that and feel that and see that. And so this is an opportunity to repair some harm with this project. That's my hope. As far as the committee, other responsibilities are to adhere to Oregon and civil rights law. I'm not saying that to scare anyone away, but you are an official public body by serving on this project advisory committee. So thank you for your service. And specifically as far as Oregon and civil rights law, we're going to make sure that you're prepared to know what that is. And so I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow that includes, it is the draft charter. It includes the charge, as well as the working agreements, as well as the bylaws. And so there is a section that specifically has the Oregon and civil rights laws that are applicable to this group. It is a draft, and so I am going to definitely welcome your feedback on it. The bylaws can't be changed because those have already been reviewed by the city attorney, but the charter and the charge component you have the ability to make some track changes or some suggestions on that if something's not clear. We do hope for attendance, regular attendance, as best as you possibly can. We want you all here to serve and to be a part of that shared journey and that shared kind of learning. So attendance is really important about that, or for that, but also acknowledging that there may be circumstances that you just can't attend. And so it's my job as your liaison to make sure that you are caught up to speed, and so I'm going to make sure that you have the materials you need, and I'm available for any questions if you aren't able to attend a specific meeting. But we do hope that attendance is strong. We also hope for in-meeting participation, and we're already seeing awesome in-meeting participation tonight. But just welcome your perspectives, your different skill sets. Everybody has an honored place here, and we need your participation, because and that's what completes the story, is that everybody's involved. Some information sharing. I'm going to do my best to get information to you all in a timely manner, and then just ask that if you are engaging in kind of conversations about the project, ideally, we welcome those. If there are emails, it would be really great if a city staff person could be, on the correspondence. So, we just have to be careful about committee members making or having the appearance of making decisions without kind of the public documentation of that. So that's essentially what it's getting at. And then finally, as a part of your application, there was the need to submit a conflict of interest disclosure. We do have those. So there's kind of a check the box on this item, but that's just a city advisory committee requirement. So thank you for that. Any questions on this piece? And again, you'll get a really exciting 10-page Word document tomorrow from me that has all this that you can spend some time reading. Okay, as far as the committee roadmap and meeting plan, with the scope of work and with the grant with the state of Oregon, we had scoped about a minimum of 7 meetings of this group. And so this is kind of how we've mapped it out. And so, you know, it's very possible that we may need 1 or 2 additional meetings, but this is at least the roadmap that we're starting off the committee process with. So we have, you know, phase 1, we have tonight kickoff meeting. Thank you for being here. And then we do need to do a June, July meeting pretty quickly because we need to, and that's going to be a 2-hour meeting because we need to go over the public involvement plan and the existing conditions and really get your feedback on it. And I apologize, that's a lot to put in a meeting, but that'll help set us up for the summer and the engagement we need to do this summer. And then in phase 2, which is more of the fall timeframe, we're going to have conversations about what did we hear from the summer outreach, specifically on kind of the existing conditions, and you know, really hearing from the public as far as what their concerns and what their aspirations are for this area. And then in November, we start kind of shifting into, well, what are some of the possible solutions? And again, that's part of that alternatives analysis work that we're going to be working on. And then in early 2022, we'll shift again to the implementing strategies. So how can we make this happen? And we'll have likely 2 meetings, so maybe a January meeting and maybe a March meeting. We haven't scheduled those yet, but that'll be about a 2-meeting conversation. And I apologize, I have teenagers that are really loud in the background. Can anybody hear the noise? You can. Do I need to like close the door? Because I can go do that. Okay.
I think it's fine.
It's pretty quiet.
Okay, yeah. It's really loud to me.
Aaron in the chat said it sounds like life, which I think is very appropriate.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And then in phase 4, we have, and again, this will be late spring, summer timeframe. There could be some shifting depending on workflow, but that's when we'll come out with the recommendation development and specifically the first draft of the plan. And that'll be a really exciting milestone to get to that point. And then what you don't see on this slide is you don't see the legislative process, and that specifically is the public hearings before the Planning and Sustainability Commission, as well as the hearing before City Council. Typically in a planning process, the life of a project committee is through the development of the draft plan. And then you know, it shifts into public testimony before, again, the Planning and Sustainability Commission or City Council. We definitely hope to stay connected with you during that time frame, but that's you know, that there's a shift in the project at that point. And then really throughout the life of this project, we just want to keep our doors and our hearts open as far as you know, just the communication, and that the committee would forward recommendations to staff at any time during the process about city decisions that affect kind of the project area and any other relevant discussions about the project area. So you know, we might be a little bit more narrow as far as our scope on, you know, land use and transportation, because those are, you have the 2 bureaus that's what we affect, and that's what the changes we can make. But the city is dynamic, and so we, you know, there are other things that may bubble up. So this is my last slide. And just again, just, you know, we're hoping to have another meeting in the June, July timeframe. And it'll be a 2-hour meeting. So from 6 to 8. I just want to acknowledge that trying to find a perfect meeting date for all 18 committee members is no small feat, but we will be setting out another doodle poll this week to get a date scheduled. I will say that one thing that I could really use some help with is if there are some standing meetings in the community that are just absolutely must avoid. For example, the East Portland Action Plan has their housing subcommittee meeting on the 4th Wednesday of the month. And so we're super lucky to have Nick joining us tonight. But that is an example of a meeting that we would definitely want to avoid that date because that's a really important meeting for community members. So that's some information that would be really helpful. So that, and specifically at that meeting, we're going to be going over the public involvement plan. It'll be at like a 90%, 95%, but we want to definitely show you a draft before it is public and get kind of the icing on the cake, which is any feedback that would be helpful from the committee. And then we,
there's a good question in the chat just about the doodle poll, about how long we expect to be meeting remotely, just because that will have an impact on the doodle poll responses. I don't know if PS has heard anything yet.
Really good question. I mean, at least I do know that our June, July meeting will definitely be remote. I don't know how to answer that.
I would say probably September, but that's pretty fluid. So, but I would anticipate September.
Yeah, I mean, we do hope to meet in person. It's just a much richer experience when we can get together. Totally pros and cons because there's an easiness to meeting from our homes as well. So acknowledging that. But if we do have the ability to meet in person, we will be meeting in the project area. And so there will be, whether it's at the Brentwood Darlington Community Center or another location, that's where we hope to have the project advisory committee meetings when we are able to meet in person.
Great, thanks. You just answered another question in the chat, but there's also a lot of people putting in some good notes about conflicting meetings, so we can I'll note those and we can.
That's great. That's really helpful. Thank you. Okay, so public involvement plan, and then we also have the draft existing conditions body of work that we'll want to share at the next meeting, and that's going to be a lot, and so we'll want to make sure that we get documents to you so you can also view that in your own time, because it is a significant amount of reading. So just heads up on that. And as far as the action items that we're hoping to complete between now and the next time we meet is, well, a doodle poll this week, get responses from you this week on that so we can get that June or July meeting established. We do need your review of the draft committee charter and bylaws. And so want you to look at that. And then there is the need to read what's called the Volunteer Guide for Boards and Commissions. And so this is just, it's basically your manual that was developed by the city attorney's office. And so it's just a helpful guide just to have in your toolkit to support the work on this committee. And those are the action items. I think I can stop sharing and just see if there's any questions. Anna?
Yeah, I have a kind of foundational question of where we are sitting with analysis. So I assume from what I'm hearing, this committee is supposed to be involved in the situation analysis, trying to figure out the priorities, like identification of priorities. you know, trying to figure out what the focus map is, but I'm already hearing, and I'm also interested in all these different things, like the 20-minute walkability, the question of small business opportunities, the question of transportation, public transportation, and also pedestrian safety. And that's quite a lot of different things. So, and I mean, I have a professional background from which I can understand where it intersects, but I'm wondering how we structure our discourse within the group around this. Is there any plan?
Do you have a thought on that?
Well, yeah, I could work something up and share in the next meeting of how that could work. I have some templates of things, how people share information and how we can overlap. I can do that for next meeting. Did I just make work for myself?
Well,
yeah, well, I can do that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your thinking on that. I mean, I think, and this is kind of a high level answer to your question, so it may not be at the granular level that you're hoping to get at, but, you know, this meeting and the next meeting is really going to be a little bit, it's going to be pretty heavy on staff doing some information sharing out. So we can kind of just get all up to speed on kind of both the process and as well as the content as far as the existing conditions work. As far as like, how does this all fit together and some of that, you know, how does it overlay? How does it, you know, how does it work together? I feel like that is a conversation that is really going to be in kind of the fall time frame, and we start talking about the alternatives analysis. But I think that your ideas are at a very timely point in our process. So I definitely want to encourage you to share with your good ideas.
Yeah, I don't know if this is what you were getting at, but yeah, the initial phases are going to be more information sharing, but certainly when we get to the needs analysis and the layering and the analysis, we're going to want to do more interactive activities. That'll obviously be easier if we can get together in person. So that's what we're hoping. We do have some online tools that we can use to do sort of a charrette or a workshop online, but we're not sure yet exactly how that'll go. So we definitely welcome ideas for how to involve you all as much as possible. I mean, we'll definitely bring our analysis of where we see, for example, gaps and deficiencies in the bicycle network or pedestrian network or safety issues. So we can bring a lot of information, but it's always better to have sort of interactive workshop opportunities. One thing we're definitely planning on doing is a transit network workshop. We have a consultant who's going to be helping with that. It's kind of like a board game. You know, everybody will have maps with buses, and you have a certain number of buses you can spread around, and it sort of helps people work through the trade-offs of only having a certain amount of bus hours you can deploy given a certain budget. So that's an example of what we'll be doing to try to make it more like an interactive workshop.
And we didn't have time tonight to really kind of go over what our thinking is for the public involvement plan. And we're going to save that obviously for next meeting. But I think one thing that's really important to share is that the project advisory committee is one component of our public involvement. So we also, and what's the beauty is that you get to, you know, stick with us for the entire project. But we also are going to be doing, you know, this summer, the thinking is we're going to be doing a lot of kind of focused interviews with kind of key community members. We're going to have an interactive online map tool that we have our GIS team working on. And then we're looking to go to organizations and kind of meet with them and just kind of get the word out that this project is happening. So that's kind of what we have going on this summer. So there are some projects that the project advisory committee is the only form of public involvement, and that's not the case here. So just wanted to share that there's going to be some layering to the types of engagement that we're doing with the community. And I think once we kind of share a little bit more of that, you'll have kind of a better understanding of kind of how this project is going to roll out, as well as some of the interactive ways that we plan to learn about the project area, but then also start making decisions about the project area. So sorry to be so vague in this meeting, but we're just really excited to just kick off the project tonight. Anything else? Julie?
Yeah, this, I'm curious because like at the very beginning, we were kind of talking about, we'd have like 5 minutes for public comment.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, like what, will we know when it's okay to let the public know about our meetings? Or I have a lot of friends who are very interested because they're into, biking and safety and transportation, all that stuff. So, I mean, they're going to be asking me questions, which is totally fine. But
yes. So now.
Yeah. So like, when we have meetings, I guess it'd be nice to know when it's appropriate or okay to like share that like on Twitter or something. Hey, we're having a meeting if you guys want to come and listen, or
So this, even tonight, is a public meeting. And so we have this meeting announcement is up on our webpage. We have the Zoom link to it. But you're right. It is really the word of mouth that is needed to kind of get folks to be aware that these meetings are happening. Yes, these meetings are open to the public, and if you have interested folks in your network that you think would like to join us, please do so.
Cool.
Yeah, I would encourage people to come, and but it's helpful to let them know that there's a designated public comment time in each meeting, that it's not kind of be open to everybody kind of the whole meeting. It's mainly going to be you all. But people are, we're happy to have as many people as possible listening in and commenting.
Okay.
Well, if there's no further questions or comments, we can definitely wrap up and adjourn this meeting. Again, we're just very, very honored that you are all joining us on this journey and in an area that we all care about very much. And please look out for an email from me tomorrow that will include that doodle poll and then some documents for your review and feedback. So, and that's it. You're welcome to stay and linger if you want to chat, but you're also welcome to get on with your evening too.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Marty.
Yeah, Nancy.
I'm wondering, the 82nd Avenue board is having a kind of a two-part annual meeting because things, they were crazy as they are. And so we're having our board, and I'd like to have at least one guest that are actually going to meet at 3 o'clock at Thai Fresh on the 15th of June. So I've told them we won't have any more than 10 there, but we'll probably only have 8. And so they've got us all, they'll have us all spread out safely. And so I am wondering if one of your team, I did put in their email addresses for staff. I don't know if that's something that you can share.
Yes, no, absolutely.
But in what you're sending, it would be great, you know, if maybe you'd add that. But anyway, obviously it would be great if you could come as the convener of the project. But if anyway, so I'm hoping that one of you can come and educate our very small board, which wants to grow. In September, we're then going to have a general member possibility meeting and really need to grow our board, because 82nd Avenue is now the center of the city, and we need to start paying attention to it in a way that has not happened in way too long.
So Nancy, I just want to confirm that I'm available to attend that meeting.
Excellent.
And so I just need the address of the Thai Fresh
I'll get it to you.
Location. Awesome.
Super. Thanks, Marty.
And I'm happy to meet in person. That's just
yes, it'll be good. Yeah. We'll be careful.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Well,
okay.
Good night.
Thank you. Thanks for and I'm glad I was able to confirm on the spot. That's great.
Yes, me too.
All right. I'm gonna stop recording and
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.